There we go. Okay, so here's the situation. I'm building a dirt bike, but I'm in way over my head. It's a 1994 YZ250. I'm not a professional, right? I'm not a professional motorcycle builder. So it's basically me and this book. And we're going through every page. We're rebuilding the thing. One of my goals is not to rebuild it to factory condition. I want to learn about motorcycle mechanics and maintenance, but I also want to build a working motorcycle, something that can kind of, maybe not in terms of technology because it's pretty much a vintage motorcycle, but definitely it can keep up. I want to gain the skills and tool set to be able to do this. Once I do that, I don't know what the future holds for the bike. It's likely that I'm going to sell it. I've already done some stuff. I've disassembled the whole motorcycle down to the bare frame, and I had that powder coated. I've replaced the steering head bearings, replaced the steering head bolts. I've cleaned some stuff up. I've cleaned up the airbox. I've scrubbed and scrubbed till my hands are bleeding. I've disassembled the wheels, the hubs, and I'm going to get the hubs powder coated to match the frame. I've also taken the motor. I took the top end off. I removed the piston. I then cracked the bottom end. I opened the case. I removed all the internal components, and I went and had the motor cleaned, sandblasted, Cerakoted. It's pretty cool. It doesn't perfectly match the OEM color, but it's close, and it's about as close as we're going to get with an aftermarket finish. When I got the engine casings back from the Cerakoter, they were in good condition. They were great, but all of the threaded holes from the engine casings were full of sandblasting sand, grit, and grind. I need to get it out of there. And one of the first things I did, because I'm lazy, is I decided I was going to put the whole engine casing into the dishwasher. I didn't think much of it. Cerakote has a really high temperature tolerance and really high chemical tolerance, and when I got it out, the whole thing was tarnished with dark water spots all over the Cerakote, and it kind of broke my heart. I've basically ruined my exterior Cerakote by putting it in the dishwasher. I broke everything I had out. I had brake cleaner on it. I had just regular soapy water, hot water, brushes, light scrubbing. I wasn't looking to damage the Cerakote in any way, but I even tried kerosene to try and get these dark water spots off of the exterior. I should mention the micro slick, the interior Cerakoting, which is a darker gray. It's perfect, no problems, and I've figured out what works. So I figured out that powdered barkeeper's friend. So I tried a metal polish, and I actually tried Goo Gone and stuff like that too. Everything I had, everything short of carburetor cleaner, I threw at it. So I'm using barkeeper's friend, but I'm not actually using a toothbrush. I'm having to rub with like my bare fingers because I need to create some abrasion. What that's doing is it's actually peeling up the tarnish, and you can see it. I'll show you some video of it. But so I'm sort of recovering from a mistake I made here, and I have to spend some time cleaning. Much better. So that's the process. One piece at a time, one little bit. I gotta do this whole thing all the way around the outer edge. So here we go. I was thinking about this. There's probably a better way, right? There's probably like some chemical I don't know about, or some. I tried metal polish, and I'm a little concerned. I like doing it with my bare fingers because even though I'm rubbing my fingerprints down to it like flat. I should go rob a bank after this. I can feel how much pressure I'm putting and what I'm doing. Like if I put a buffing wheel on a drill, for example, it probably wouldn't. It might damage the Cerakote or even remove some of it. And at least this way, what I'm doing, I can feel what's happening, and I'm going slow and being meticulous. We're getting there. We're almost there. Maybe a quarter left here. Just one thing we got to deal with after. There's a whole bunch of barkeeper's friend residue. And it's a sort of a gritty material. We can't leave that on the inside. It's not that big of a deal if there's a residue on the outside, but the inside, that's a no-go. We got to get that out of there. So that'd be the next step in cleaning this stuff. Alright, so here we go. We got round 2 of cleaning these parts. This is just going to be soap and water and the trusty pipe cleaners. And get those involved in all these little cracks and crevices. I'm doing this before I go to spraying brake cleaner with a hose on an aerosol can down in these holes. Also, I want to get out all the barkeeper's friend powder and residue from inside the engine. So let me show you the engine parts real quick. This is what we got. There's basically 4 components. All of these have been touched up. All that tarnish has been removed from them, and some of them are still dripping wet. That's fine, we're gonna get them wet again, and then we'll probably dry them off in the oven after we're done. So, here we go. Fingertip started bleeding from all the rubbing of the barkeeper's friend. I'm gonna get some gloves. Piece number 1. And I'm gonna get some air and blow all the water out of those little holes, just to see if there's any extra crud in there. Okay, so cans there. Check. Straw. Prepare to shoot more water all over the kitchen. So I guess the next step is let's review all the parts, the motorcycle and its components, what it looks like as a frame on the stand. Right now with the triple tree and the handlebars put back on there, but so here we go. So this is the project we've got going here. Some of this represents old parts, some of it's some new stuff, some of it's old stuff that was cleaned up. And we're going to go over all of it before we start assembling. Let's go over all the parts for the motorcycle. Some of the lighting in here is not so good, so bear with me as I work my way through some of this stuff. This is the rear swing arm. Obviously, I had it powder coated like I mentioned. It's been completely rebuilt. Some of the parts I couldn't get. You can't order a rear axle, right? So I'm reusing the old rear axle. It's in great shape. It's just a little bit discolored. Brand new bearings in the hole and in the linkage. These are the original linkage. I just cleaned them up, polished them. Everything that I could get my hands on in terms of parts, I replaced with the rear swing arm, but I couldn't get my hands on everything. So this is it. This is what it looks like. It's in great shape. We'll install that on the bike once we get the suspension together. Speaking of suspension, let's talk about that. So here's the front fork tubes. I haven't done anything to them other than clean them. They still have the original fluid, fork fluid in there. Anyway, I'm a little overwhelmed by the front forks. The rear fork I started to disassemble, or the rear shock I started to disassemble, but I haven't really cracked into it yet. I'm not quite there. While we're here, let's talk about the radiators. Those are really rough shape. I'm not sure what I'm going to do, if I'm going to replace them, buy new ones. I'm really worried about the radiator hoses. I'm not sure where I can get. I'd like to get some silicone hoses. I'm not sure where I can get them. Some aftermarket parts here. Duval radiator guards, which fit the bike. Works connection engine or frame guards. Rear caliper guard there. IMS foot pegs, some old school IMS foot pegs. Almost as old as I've been riding the motorcycle. I'm going to get those powder coated along with the hubs, which you can see I've taken apart the wheels. Those are prepped for powder coating. They just need to be sandblasted. And then the rear chain guide, which is an aftermarket Fredette racing chain guide. I actually called this guy Fredette. This is his last name. He's a pretty cool dude. If you get a chance, give him a call. He can help you out. And then I'm going to be replacing the rims. You can't really see over video, but there's a bunch of wowies, and the rims are bent. Cylinder head. It's been taken off, obviously, and cleaned. And it's in really good shape. You're not going to be able to see much because there's not a lot of light in here. But it's in great shape. I do want to get it re-nickel just because of the age. That kind of thing. I cleaned it a little bit just to see if I could get it to where I wanted it by myself without paying somebody. I also broke off a bolt right there. And I've tried everything I know to get that out of there. It's stuck. So I might need to reach out to somebody, to a professional for that. I didn't mention the spring. We were talking about suspension. I'm probably going to replace this spring. I think it's worn out. The suspension, it has some really bad sag when you sit on it. It's pretty awful. All right, so here's the frame. This is what I've done so far. Besides the swing arm, which was a huge deal, getting that thing ready to go. Obviously powder coated, I mentioned that. Powder coated the bottom, top and bottom. There's new bearings in here, so the steering's nice and smooth. That was actually kind of a pain, getting that to the point where I could get the bearings off, right? That was the challenge with this, is I ended up using a chisel and getting the bearings off that way. There's a new tank. This is the second tank I've ordered. This is actually a Clarke Tank. Some of this is original hardware, original brackets and stuff like that. I've got it strapped down on a wheeling stand, sort of a floor jack, if you will. But it's specifically made to accommodate, it has a wider base to accommodate motorcycles. So this is the frame, and then the subframe here, all aluminum subframe. I mentioned I bit the dust one summer, flipped backwards off a jump, and just totally destroyed the original steel subframe. I ended up buying an aluminum subframe from a manufacturer back 15 years ago, and this is that aluminum subframe, been cleaned up and reinstalled. So this is where we're at with it. Let me undock real quick, and we'll just take a quick zoom around the frame, see what it looks like. It's been collecting dust for most of the summer, so hopefully we can get this project underway here in the next couple of weeks.
Hey guys, I just wanted to take a second and say thanks for watching what turned out to be about a 20-minute video. And I also wanted to say this is going to be the end of part 1 as we're going around the frame here. We're going to pick up part 2 as we start to assemble the engine, and the first thing we're going to do is put in the engine bearings, so look for part 2. Thanks again.